Welcome to The Brook, bearing clusters of truth with a splash of common sense.
Good evening and welcome to The Brook on Canaan Radio. I'm Will, and in the studio with me today is David.
Good evening, everyone.
Pastor Reed.
Hi!
No Peter today. Right now.
As of right now.
Yeah, as of right now. He may come in a little bit later. Thanks. And JT up in the booth. We'd love to hear from our listeners during the broadcast. You can text us your song requests or comments, concerns, cautions, complaints, whatever you want.
Yep.
920-940-8275.
Just no cuss words.
That's right.
Or curse words.
Anything else?
Nope.
Okay. So you can text us 920-940-8275. Or if you're joining us on the live stream on YouTube, you can go to youtube.com/Canaan Radio to watch us, our beautiful, gorgeous faces. Or you can listen to us on the radio. Go to CanaanRadio.com/The Brook. Or you can just listen. You okay?
What is that?
Our beautiful, lovely faces. That's a little...
yeah, it was meant to be a joke. You're supposed to laugh.
Everybody's laughing.
You didn't catch it,
I'm
so
sure
that's okay.
everybody's
We're going to continue on here. Let's go right to the next segment. Let's get ready to ramble is where we're at right now. David, take it away.
We had a car wash yesterday for the youth fundraiser.
That's news. That's supposed to be news, man.
Oh, is that news? But it's in the past.
Okay, that's fine.
So we can ramble about it.
Sure.
And then the news is supposed to be like updates, right?
Mm-hmm.
I guess technically that is the news. So I cannot talk about it. The weather here has been hot and humid. Since Pete's not here to say something about the weather, I'll do it. Rained last night.
Insane
Storm. It was windy.
I'm pretty sure some of my patio furniture is in another county. So.
I came outside, looked at the front of my house, and I have a flagpole that's screwed into the front pillar of my house, and half of the pole is still there. The second half that had the flag is totally gone. I have no idea. I looked around, I can't find it. It's totally gone. And the pole that's still there is bent.
Don't normal people take their poles down during storms?
Well, at no point can I say that I'm normal. So maybe that might be true.
But it was a crazy
I didn't
storm.
realize it was going to be that windy, and I kind of forgot about it.
We're going through the Duncan line today, and they always have the weather channel playing, but it's like the national, like the big weather channel. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden it goes like this the intro, kind of like we do for the different segments. This intro comes across, and it goes live video or new video or something like that. And a video comes up that someone took in Omaha, Nebraska, because they got hit with the real bad storm.
I think they still have power outages there.
Yeah. But anyway, it showed up and it was like, terrible storm hits Nebraska. And I was like, hey, we made it
everyone in Nebraska is like, yeah,
we're on the news.
We're on the news. Something eventful happened.
Yeah, that was good. So, yeah, that was enjoyable.
Miss Reeves said two people were saved at Ladies Soul Winning today, so praise the Lord.
Awesome.
Talked to Miss Smith. She said that she had one lady saved, and her 5-year-old kid wants to ride the bus, so I'm going to visit them next week.
Man.
So that's good. I don't know about the other one. I haven't heard about how the specifics there, but
Kaylee and I were out soul winning, knocking on doors, and I get to the last door at the end of a street, and a guy comes to the door, and I'm like, wait, I've knocked on a door like on the same street, just way further down, and he was at this house, but it was probably like 2 months ago, and he's like, hey, how you doing? And so we just start talking. JT and I had gone by his house. We actually tried to pick up the kids for church, but they never could wake up. I guess it was too early for him, picking them up at 9:30. Anyway, so his name's Mike, but he came to the door. He's like, I'm living with my brother, trying to find a different house. But it was just interesting to, be outdoor knocking, see the same guy. And he was like, I'm going to be moving over by the church, and so I'll be able to walk to church. I was like, sounds awesome. Good. Sounds good. So we'll see how that goes.
Never know.
Nope.
There was a old-fashioned car show today downtown.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people were, I think, because JT and I, when we were soloing, we got like nobody home. Of course, it was kind of comical because we finished on one side of the street and like no one answered. And as we were crossing the street, looked back over there and there's like 4 or 5 people outside. It's like they waited until we knocked and left our invitations, our tracks, and then they came out. And they're like, okay, they're gone.
Go, clean up your yard. We had a lot of people in our neighborhood cleaning up the branches and stuff out of their yards. Mrs. Greeley showed me a picture. She had a garage, an old garage behind her old house, and she showed me a picture, and I guess the tree had fallen over and hit the garage, but it was small enough garage that it actually shifted the whole thing. So she said, we can't open either of the doors. So
How about
I said, it's a good thing there's nothing valuable in there. And she's like, she told some nice car, I guess, is parked in there. So I was like, well, it's a good thing there was a garage then.
Wow.
Yeah.
crazy.
We had a couple twigs fall down in our yard. It was epic.
Yeah, there's no more. But those big evergreen trees already fell.
It's
next
true.
door.
Yeah.
Remember that?
I was talking about my yard.
Oh, well, that one tree fell.
Made a mess.
Now you don't have any more trees to fall, well, except the back.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You can request a song, 920-940-8275. The first song we're going to play, the first requested song, was requested by Ray Lynn, and that song is I Know My God Can Do It. We'll be right back.
That's great. Great way to start it.
Welcome to Hot Off the Wine Press, where we deliver nothing but the freshest of fresh news and is it ASMR?
Yeah.
SMR, I don't know.
This is how we start the broadcast. And if it's JT.
Fresh news. That's where we're at. Fresh news tonight.
Fresh news. So, the car wash yesterday.
Yeah, tell us about it.
It's a great fundraiser we had for our upcoming youth trip. We're going to see the Ark Encounter at the end of July. And so we're trying to raise some money. And we had a car wash yesterday from 5 to 8. Really appreciate all of the people who came out and let us wash their car. I believe that's what we were attempting to do, is wash the cars. And donating to the cause. We raised a good deal of money, so very much appreciate it. I know the kids do. I told the sheriff, our sheriff in town owns several different car washes, and the car he let us use this car wash, which is really just down the street from our church. And I was talking to him, and I said, I really do appreciate you allowing us to use this car wash. I said, most of these kids probably don't really appreciate it as much as I do, because I remember growing up, we would do a car wash in our church parking lot with hose and with sponges.
Gravel parking
It was
lot.
on gravel, and I mean, it was elbow grease. Yeah, I mean, but we didn't have a wand and a power washer.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
a scrub.
Abusive days.
It was
Just old-fashioned way of doing it.
Hose and sponges and buckets.
Yep.
It was terrible.
It was legit.
In the snow, uphill.
Yes,
Place.
in the winter. I'm just talking about in the winter.
Yeah. Yeah. Didn't even have hot water. It was cold.
Yeah. So, but
Honor.
So that was good. Dad, do you have anything positive to add to the news?
I do.
Tell us about it.
Not. News. I'm going to Ark Encounter with you guys.
yeah, you are. Yep.
Spent a lot of money on the bus to get it ready, only not to take it.
Do you want to tell us about the corner property?
I do. It's corner. It's the corner.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're talking not the corner property.
Right here.
This property.
corner.
We got a lot of corners,
On a
dude.
corner.
do.
I know. We got
have
a lot of corners.
yeah.
This corner, the one we're currently working on.
Oh. We started framing out I say we. I just went over and pointed. You guys did all the work.
Regardless, tell us about it.
It's framed out on the end, and we're going to start framing out the windows and
Good.
putting the roof on. And
Good.
yeah, it's good. So pray for the cost of wood to come down.
Yeah. Or we could just.
I am positively excited.
Well, that first window that we got framed out, that's all recycled lumber.
all the windows.
If the window falls apart, yeah, the window falls out. It's that wood's fault. No.
Now, are
Looks
you
good.
going through and putting studs next to the old ones? I couldn't remember what you guys had said.
Yeah, we're
For the
going to
walls.
do a double-walled 2x4 system.
Oh, yes.
It's gonna be warm in the winter and cold in the summer. It's gonna be nice.
Fresh. It's gonna be fresh.
No one has anything to say.
I'm just waiting.
This
waiting.
is a dry broadcast. It's because Pete's not here. Speaking of Pete, we should talk why he's not
Dad,
here.
tell us about Pete.
Why is he not here?
Pete is working on the air conditioning arc tubes. And that takes us to
You got nothing?
No, that's good.
Tomorrow's
That's all I
church.
got.
Church is going to be good.
church. It's gonna be epic. Who's preaching?
Yeah, you are. I went by Double Dips ice cream today. Just get something to drink.
Uh-oh.
And
When?
of course, it was like super
Oh, yeah,
busy.
you told me that,
It was super busy. So we looked at the cars, then we
Yeah.
went in, got something to drink.
Yeah.
And Lori was working the very end, with the pay part, which was
Right.
kind of interesting. And because lately she's been in the back washing dishes. So it's good to see her out, not slaving away. Got to talk to her a little bit. She's like, yeah, today was so busy. I didn't think it was going to be this busy, so I had to call in like an extra person. She's like, tomorrow we're having a pancake breakfast. She's like, oh, but you're going to be in church. She's like, it starts at 8. It's like,
We can make that work.
Down at
JT,
the, at
we've
the
got to
ice cream
stop.
place?
Yeah, she said outside.
Is it free?
It's going to be outside. Probably not.
Oh, man. What if they want to donate it to the cause of the ministry?
Probably not.
Did she say what it was? It was something special.
I think it was
or-
just on the schedule because, they're doing like the downtown, a lot of stuff downtown. This month.
Oh, Christy said their air conditioning is fixed.
Awesome. So Pete will be joining us soon.
Yep,
Maybe.
he should be here soon.
We'll
Pete,
see.
probably not listening.
Let's move on to our... Oh, you can request a song, 920-940-8275. Follow us on our Twitter. It's twitter.com/Canaan_radio. Follow us on our Instagram.
How could it possibly be fixed already?
Instagram.com/Canaan_radio. Follow us on YouTube. YouTube.com.
Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so that you get notified. Or wait, is it hit the notification button?
No, you subscribe, then you hit the bell for
Don't
notifications.
forget to hit the bell so,
so
you
that
can
you
get
can notify
notifications.
anytime that we go live. You'll just boop. Yep. Or whatever your phone sounds like. I've never gotten over getting saved. Faith Men. Requested by Lindsay. We'll be right back. Curtis Hutson was born in Decatur, Georgia, to a barber and hairdresser, the second of 5 children. He attended Avondale High School, where he met his future wife, Barbara Crawford. They began dating after graduation, while Hutson was working at Scottdale Textile Mill. They married in 1952 and had 4 children, Sherry, Donna, Kay, and Tony. While working as a mail carrier, Hutson preached at church services and revivals in the Atlanta area. In 1956, he conducted a revival at the tiny Forest Hills Baptist Church of Scottdale. By the end of the week, Hutson had filled the 50 seats in the church. The pastor had resigned, and Hutson was called to replace him. That's an eventful week. Although he had no formal training, Hutson served as the pastor while continuing to work for the post office. In 1961, Hutson heard Jack Hiles, Tom Malone, and John R. Rice preach at nearby Antioch Baptist Church. During that Sword of the Lord conference, Dr. Hiles gave a 2-hour soul-winning lecture. I should say sermon. Hutson was convicted that he too should aggressively win the lost to Christ. The following Saturday, he led 3 people to the Lord. Every week thereafter, for a number of years, he led someone to Christ. He began to preach about soul winning, and his congregation began to follow his example. In 1967, Curtis Hutson quit the post office to become a full-time pastor, at first for a salary of $75 a month. Between 1969 and 1972, the church grew from 350 to 2,300 members. In 1976, when Curtis Hutson resigned after 20 years of pastoring, church membership was at 7,900. Entering full-time evangelism, Curtis Hutson held area-wide evangelistic meetings from 1977 to 1980. From 1974 to 1980, he also served as president of Baptist University of America near Atlanta. Hutson was gifted in using humor to engage an audience, and he memorized one-liners and funny stories topically so that he could have a collection of ready jokes on any subject. In 1978, John R. Rice invited Curtis Hutson to become the associate editor of the Sword of the Lord, based in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. 2 years later, Dr. Rice died, and Hutson became the editor. He served in this position for the remainder of his life while continuing to preach in churches across America. In 1992, Hutson was diagnosed with cancer, of which he died in March 1995. And that is what we have for Curtis Hutson. There's no battery in that. So
It's running.
This is Peter's.
My camera.
Oh.
You don't need the camera.
Yeah, I didn't
Peter
put on my
has
makeup.
no camera.
No, it's funny because in the middle of your monologue,
I came walking through the door.
Yeah. Yeah.
and then he adjusts and he's sitting like gets way over in the camera. It was funny. And then David decided to get up and walk around. I'm like, what is going on?
We're just distracting from Curtis Hutson.
Did you mention about
No, feel free to add in anything now. So that's it. That's what I had.
What were you going to say?
Forest Hills? He pastored Forest Hills.
I said he
Okay.
conducted the revival at Forest Hills.
He also pastored Forest Hills Baptist Church.
Right. By the end of the week, he filled 50 seats. The pastor had resigned, and he became the pastor.
Right. It's a busy week.
It was a very busy week.
Wow.
I remember now. Sorry.
There's too much happening. It's okay.
That's all right.
I always enjoy listening to
There's this one message, this one clip from, and I'm not sure, I wasn't sure if you were actually saying something that mattered.
I was gonna
Okay.
just...
There's this one clip that you always see of that message he was preaching. Where was that? Was that a sword conference that he was preaching at where he
So-
What
sings?
message?
Yeah.
Where he sings that one?
yeah.
So I think you're talking about the one that was actually a big thing that First Baptist Church of Hammond put together, and it was in a civic center, a big civic center. I was there for that one.
You were there?
Yes, and I'm pretty sure it's one of his last messages before he passed away. It was chaos.
It looked crazy. Yeah.
It
just
was
a little bit.
chaos. We ran buses, and probably close to 200 buses ran for that. It was packed out, and then you had your unique individuals who sat in the front row, and people were running the aisles, and it was chaotic.
You talking about Pentecost Sunday?
I
That they had
don't
there?
think it was Pentecost.
I'm just reading this about
Maybe
on
it
May
was.
2nd, 1992. Hudson was invited by Dr. Jack House to speak at their annual Pentecost
Yeah,
Sunday
yeah, that was it. That
endeavor
was
at the
it.
First Baptist
Yeah.
Church of Hammond, Indiana. The goal is to see at least 3,000 people converted. By the end of the day, 4,720
Yeah.
had been dealt with at various altars. Over 1,000 in the morning service alone where Hudson spoke.
Yeah, it was-
36,902 were in attendance that day and 23 other services all over town.
Wow.
Converts were still being baptized when Hudson had to leave.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. 36,000 people. That's bigger than the population of North Platte.
We went into Cabrini Greens. We went into all these housing projects. I remember they came up with this idea that I personally was like, "Wow, how do you get away with that?" But they went. Cabrini Greens was all black. It was a poverty area. It was very dangerous, and the way they promoted was. I don't even want to say this, but it was crazy. Free watermelon and chicken. And it worked. I mean, they filled their buses.
Interesting.
Hey,
I'm telling you, man. That
does sound good.
That place you learned how to promote, that's for sure. But yes.
I just
yes.
enjoyed that. I just remember seeing that clip, hearing him sing. I enjoyed hearing him sing.
Yeah.
He'd sing a lot. I think I've heard his son preach in person.
Yes.
Tony Hutson.
Yeah.
So, but
Brother Hudson preached a message, things that are different are not the same. And that's one of the key messages of his, I think, of his life. It was a good message. Yeah.
Is that mainly on the King James Bible, or was it?
I think it was just about everything that.
Couldn't remember.
Yeah.
I think he had one that he also preached about the King James Bible.
So, what was interesting about Curtis Hutson, and again, maybe I wasn't listening because I was distracted, being a postal worker and then going from being a postal worker to being a pastor who's winning people to Christ all the time. I was just interesting. Interesting.
I think
you wouldn't have a lot of that today.
Right.
You just
Yeah.
wouldn't. So.
that focus too on soul winning and the difference that it made in his church and the difference it still makes today. I think that's a big thing. I think people think that soul winning doesn't work.
Well,
Door-to-door soul winning doesn't work anymore.
yeah, Mom had someone to save today, and she had Mariah with her. And I was pulling out of the church, and they were pulling in, and I could just tell Mariah was just like, she's sitting in the passenger seat. Her eyes, she's like, and Mom says, we had someone saved. And I said, oh, man, woman. She said, a young man, and probably 23, 24. And she said, Mariah said, this is emotional.
That's great.
It's always good to see our new folks who are getting on board with being trained to be soul winners. They get really excited. They got to get over their nerves. They think the first Sunday they're going to have to talk. Then they find out, oh, okay, I don't have to talk until I have my plan memorized. But they really get to enjoy seeing our seasoned soul winners win someone to the Lord, and they get excited about that. That's there's nothing like seeing someone get saved.
Man. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Sorry, I know we're supposed to be on Curtis Hutson, but I just brought
No,
it up.
No, it was on soul
I'm
winning.
the one who, I mentioned so. I think a big reason for that is there are so many people who criticize door-to-door soul winning.
Yeah.
And all I could say is I feel like if you haven't done it,
Those same people are. It's funny now because, about 20 years ago, that they would just thoroughly thrash door-to-door soul. Probably 30 years ago, really started thrashing on this idea of being confrontational soul winner. It just means that you address someone personally. It doesn't mean that you're fighting.
right?
But you're one-on-one having discussions and leading them to Christ. Non-soul winning Christians or Baptists, they don't like that because they don't want to go soul winning. And every time someone gets saved, that looks, that's pressure on them. Now we have their kids in positions, and we've got social media is a new platform. So that attack actually comes through the social media. But what's so interesting is these new people, they hate Tony Hutson. They can't stand him because he says so many things that are just tongue-in-cheek,
Not politically correct.
hyperbole, just to make a point, just fun things. And he knows he's being
Right.
But they make these guys who aren't soul winners so mad because it makes a point. It makes a point that they're not doing what God told them to do, not living the way God told them to live. So, but it makes them so mad. But I noticed recently one of these guys was off preaching somewhere, if that's what you call what he does, and he said
Lecturing.
we had he put out on his social media, he said 20 plus people came to Christ. And he says, and there was a mist machine used, and so he's kind of throwing that in the fundamental Baptist face because we're separated from the world. We're not trying to do Las
not
Vegas and
theatrics.
shows and right.
Yeah, church isn't theatrics.
And these are the same people that would say that we were using emotions to cause people to get saved. Now they're using all these fleshly things, same type of thing. Anyway, somebody said, could you imagine how many would got saved if the Holy Spirit could have found his way through the mist? And it was hilarious. But they're starting to brag on their numbers, and they always attack us because we would say I had 10 saved or 5 saved or had 100 in church.
Oh, but now it's okay for them to.
Yeah, but
Okay.
they're bragging on their numbers now, and so it's just interesting. I wanted to reply back and say, yeah, but out of those 20, how many?
How many?
How many?
Yeah, you want to sound like that. Exactly.
It's just interesting to me because you look at Jesus and his ministry while he was here on earth and his dealings with different types of people and how he was always, and how it's the same today.
Yeah.
You got that crowd today that's like looks down on soul winning because they're so, more spiritual or, philosophical or too good, whatever their excuse for looking down and criticizing soul winning is. They're the same group of people that Jesus was always bumping heads with the Pharisees and the Sadducees that thought themselves to be spiritual people. And so Jesus, was constantly dealing with them, but you had that whole other group of people that Jesus spent most of his ministry healing and giving them hope, giving them eternal life and teaching them. And those are people that, you look at the two different groups, someone like Mariah who went out soul winning today.
Right.
It's totally two different, and it shows that when you become a Pharisee and a Sadducee and you look at soul winning as, that's something that, did they mean it? Are you pushing it down people's throats? And all these, if you're a new convert, you don't worry about anything about like that. All you care about is getting the gospel to people. Mm-hmm. And I just think that's interesting when you look at, even in Jesus' day, he had the same two different groups of people.
Yeah.
And it's sad today that we have that, honestly. But
I wanted to say, I know there's somebody listening today that contacted you this week, son. I think I saw them on the live chat here. The bridge officer. You see him?
He's up there.
Okay, I think it's Brother Webb. I think it is. I could be wrong. Anyway, I just want to encourage any preacher's kids that are out there. If you've ever gotten to the place where you're kind of sideways with your parents and with the church, don't be foolish. Be very careful about attacking your parents and attacking where you came from. The reason you're saved is because you came out of that environment. You just be careful. Learn to honor those people who serve the Lord with all their heart, sincerely. Not perfect. Probably still had issues needed to fix. But be careful that you don't start a campaign to run them down. I appreciate Tony Hutson, and he's not my cup of tea in every area, but I appreciate the fact that I've never heard him say a negative thing about his dad. And there's so many preachers, even these preachers that influenced us in the last 50 years, their kids have gone off bitter and mad. Mm-hmm. And I just think that's so damaging to the future generation for kids, that sets a standard for them. So, and then there's a generation of pastors who their kids went liberal, and we're seeing them turn from the faith, the independent fundamental Baptist faith, not the saving faith. I got to clarify. But we see them turning and dropping their standards and going in a different direction, taking Baptists off the sign so they can line up with their kid who's gone the wrong direction. Mm. And I don't want you to be loyal to me, and I'm not going to be loyal to you. I think we all ought to be loyal to the Bible and to the Lord.
I think people who make statements like you had mentioned, had however many people come to Christ and there was a missed machine, obviously don't understand that salvation works independent. What Christ did works independent of delivery. Now, that's not a license to deliver it however you want. Right. To have rock bands or inappropriately dressed women or, because the world knows how to sell. The world knows marketing. Yeah. So you can employ what they use and market something like salvation. But if that's all God wanted us to do, then what's the point of why would God give us standards? Council. Right. Why would any of the, and plus, and this has been said before, those people accept Christ. What good solid church they have to be a part of to help them continue to grow in the Christian life. So I think people need to be careful when hearing those people and going, oh yeah, what is wrong with a missed machine? I mean, it's just a missed machine. Yeah. It's not an attack on a physical device. Right. Okay, you to say I'm sitting here going, we've used missed machines in our BBC, in our Vacation Bible School.
Right, Vacation Bible School.
Yeah, we've used them
or
then.
Something like that.
Absolutely. But
Not Sunday morning, Sunday night, or Wednesday
Right.
night.
It's interesting because it's those type of people. It's the same thing. Same as the Pharisees. That they like to take an object or something that most people really wouldn't think like of right or wrong, and they like to put it in there and immediately make you be put on the defensive side. Like you have to
Right.
explain your position
Yeah.
because it's like it's not even about that. It's just it's ridiculous.
Right.
Well, we had a missionary stop in Wednesday, and one of the things he said, "Thank you for having church Wednesday." I thought that was a odd thing to thank someone for. And
Yeah.
where do you normally go to church? It's my thinking. Then he said, "Thanks for being King James only." He says, "I've been traveling since being back from China, and every church it seems like I go into, they don't put it on their website anymore. They come in, you find out they're not using King James, and these are the same
Yeah.
churches that supported him when he went, or
Right.
that he he says it's terrible. It's hard to find a church that stands by it, and that's alarming to me if that's true. So
Only 20 years.
yeah,
Because they went, 2003 or 2001?
so he's been in China for 17 years.
Yeah. So
And
2003.
actually, I took a lot of flack because one of our, I don't know if it was a sermon clip or if it was one of our broadcasts that said some of our missionaries going around and taking 5 years to get to the mission field until they reach a certain amount of support. Not that I think that's wrong,
Right.
but this generation of preachers is I'll go if I have enough money. I'll go if I have my insurance. I'll go if, and I'm not going to go until then. This guy went, no mission board. He didn't go with any support. He went and started a smoothie business and started a church and then supported his family, himself on the smoothie business in China. I'm
Wow.
like, really? He said, yep, just started a smoothie business. That's how he made his money. And it's really, our ministry is a lot like that, training you guys to be able to go out and make money. Be vocational, but you be the owner of your company. You what did I say?
It's so
we just
funny.
had
that-
this yesterday.
Oh, did
Sorry.
It's totally distracting.
it's-
I apologize.
It was, you're on the right track.
So you said they were bivocational.
Yeah.
From there, bivocational.
But having that job that they have be one that they own and direct themselves so that they can plan their day. Because it's really hard to be bivocational and work for Walmart.
Yeah.
It's so training the next generation. Look, let's see if we can first get you in college and give you the tools you need. Then cut you loose and maybe not go right out in the ministry, but start a business, build that business and be
Right.
successful at that. And then go out and pastor a little church somewhere and stay there, be part of the community for the rest of your life, raise your family there. But then you have your business that you've arranged, you set the hours, and you do it with the church being
Right.
right, everything being together. So
Yeah.
I just respect that he went to China and did that. I think he started 3 churches. I was looking at pictures of his guys in those 3 churches. It's actually very funny. All of his Chinese guys that are preaching there, white shirts, suits, ties, white shirt. I mean, they look like independent fun. I'm like, man, send them back here for college,
Yeah.
And seriously, I was
Right.
like, wow. And, these guys today, if you mentioned Reeves, and oh, you can't, in white shirt, tie, you can't go to his. What was that guy's name that came out here? Sluter.
Oh,
Sluter
right.
said I was a nut because I had platform standards. And, okay. Sometimes you feel like a nut. Sometimes, you call me what you want.
Well, here's the thing. Every preacher has platform standards.
Yeah.
They may not.
Some just
tell
have very
people what.
few.
Yeah, exactly. But everyone. So to sit there and say platform standards, you got platform standards.
Well, I'm sure they're because mine were white shirt, but I've never ever said white shirt is something that's in the Bible.
Right.
I have
Right.
some ideas why I do it, that some of it's parallel, but I would never say that that's biblical proof why you should do it. It's a preference.
Right.
Preference, simply that. And it has nothing to do with salvation.
I
But
think-
because that pulpit, because that platform
Right.
is mine to guard, I look at it more as a litmus test of a person's heart. I don't want somebody standing in my pulpit who has a heart that they're holding back. They don't love preaching. They don't love the Lord enough to say, "Hey, I'll wear a white shirt. I'll wear a white shirt, or I'll shave." If you no, okay, yeah. If you want me to shave, I'll shave. I want to preach the gospel. I want to preach the book, and if it means I'll shave, that's no big deal. It's not against the law to shave. It's not against the Bible to shave. It's not against the law to not shave, or whatever. But whoever's
Right.
the pastor, it's submission. How are they going to get up and tell my people to follow, and they're not willing to do it? So,
Right.
anyway, stupid stuff. But I started this whole thing just to say we need a generation of young people that are just going to tarry by the stuff. Just stick with it. You're going to get your day where you're in charge, and you can do it the way you think you ought to do it. But don't run down the old
And
folks.
you know what they'll probably find out? They'll probably be like, "Oh, this is why they did what they did." When you're
In a lot
put
of ways, yes. I think they'll find. I think you guys will find that you can still accomplish the same thing, just doing it a little bit different. I just chose the way I did because here's really why I did it. It's kind of like Brother Scott preached a message shortly after he became a pastor. It caused a huge problem. He preached a sermon, and he would know this, entitled "Slits Are for Sluts." And I remember hearing that, and I think, wow, I would never preach that ever in my entire life. But I remember when we started our boys' home ministry, boys have a problem with wandering eyes and lust and stuff like that. I said, it's just easier to have no slit rule in our school and in our church than to go around saying we have a 2-inch slit rule and then I got to measure it.
Right.
So I have that no slit policy just simply because I don't want to deal with it.
Right.
It's like, how hard is that to figure out? So there's some clothing standards we have just simply because if you have a little bit, then you have to go around inspecting. And I don't want to be worried about that garbage. Just get rid of it. It's no big deal. What is it that you won't get rid of for Christ to make a clear statement that you are His?
Right.
And that's what the real issue is with all of those people that we're talking about, is it's really a heart issue.
Right. Exactly.
It's nothing more. When you come to the standards and all that, it's their heart is not in the right place.
Right.
Yeah. Same thing with the mist machine. I mean, God's got a big smoke machine in heaven. So
Yeah.
That's
right.
It's filled the temple.
And beautiful colored lights in the sky.
Rainbows everywhere.
Yeah. But that's the thing. When you get to majoring on that, to me, you're
Yeah.
wanting to create your own environment. You
Exactly.
have actually become your own little god
Yes.
of your world. So.
And that's just someone majoring on something they want to cause trouble and make their own self to be I'm the biggest whatever in my
Right.
group.
Right.
I'm the, that's what they say about small independent Baptist churches. They whittle down the standards to such a high, well, not whittle down. They expand the standards to such a high extent that they can say we're the biggest church in our circles, or we're the best at this, or we're the best at that, blah, blah, blah. And that's what they point at us and say that we're doing. We're just trying to lift. That's not what standards are for. Standards are to lift up Christ, and they're to show the world who we are. And if that's not your heart, then you're doing it wrong. Yeah. If you're not willing, it's like platform standards or whatever. If the platform standard was, a pink clown suit, probably won't ever get there. Praise God. I'm not sure if I would be able to compromise for that, but really, if that's what
I'm going to tell you something.
I'm just saying that's that stupid extremism that people say, "Oh, well, why don't you do this?"
If I was invited to preach somewhere and they were having a big circus theme, whatever, and they said all the guys on the platform will wear clown suits and they're pink, and I'm like, okay, well, let me pray about it.
Great.
Exactly.
Obviously,
they probably asked Bud, not you.
Obviously, if I wanted to preach to the people, if that's what I felt God wanted me to do, I don't have any problem. Okay, fine.
Right.
If that's what you want me to do. But if people are like, well, what are they going to say about you? Then I start going, yeah, what are they going to say about me? Then I'm not putting first the thought process of that call that God's given me. So
Yeah. It's all about that.
The standards thing is just
somebody's
ridiculous.
going to bite me to.
It's just
We
ridiculous
had a
because
whole,
all
we had
of
a
the
whole,
standards.
we
yeah,
had
I
a whole
know.
episode on preferences, convictions, standards. Oh my!
Yeah.
But we had a whole episode on that. And if you want to see more about it, go back and look at it. And don't listen to the crazy people who say we don't know what we're talking about because
They're drunk.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, exactly.
They're drunk.
They're
drunks. The
literally.
drunks.
Seriously, are drunks. They've done a rebuttal on that one, and they sat there going through clips of it and just going right through it.
Doing what the news does with people and just playing 3-second
No.
clips.
They play the thing, and then they criticize and make fun of and say that's not what the Bible verse means, and we got it all wrong, while they're drinking beer.
You know what I always find interesting about those types of people? They always know what it doesn't mean,
Yeah.
So what does?
but they never clarify
mean?
what it does mean.
But as soon as you
Just
do
leave
that, then
there.
as soon as you do that, you're accountable.
Exactly. You can't.
So they're just
you
trying
have
to avoid it all. It's
own
stupid.
what you say.
They're wayward children, and they know it. They're just wayward children.
Cats not thy pearls before the swine.
That's it.
Hello, Chad from North Dakota. Welcome.
finest of fields.
We're going to go to a song. That's where we're going. I'm drinking from my saucer. Gospelite singers.
What are you
Sorry,
drinking?
Hi, Mariah.
Drinking.
What are we drinking?
Hi,
Tea.
Mariah.
Hit it.
Hi,
Hit it.
Chad.
Oh, hi, Mariah. You also.
Hi, Christy. Hi, Hope. Hi, David.
Hi.
Okay, we're going to say hi to everybody.
Hi.
Let's go to that
hi,
song.
Raylan. Hi, Christy.
said that,
Lindsay.
Lindsay.
Hello.
Pastor.
Hello. Goodbye.
Oh, Sarah.
Sarah.
Okay. You're listening to The Pulp.
Pulp.
Some people love it, others hate it. Either way, you can count on us talking about it. Here is what I'm gonna. I was gonna
Don't
go to
go to
you,
me.
and you're like,
Don't
no,
do
don't
it.
do it. I got
Don't do
some.
it.
I got some. Okay, so this morning, I was getting this shirt ready, and you have a shirt that you have the stays, and you just keep them in there.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Somehow they're both missing. So you know what I did?
Twigs.
You take an old Starbucks card,
Yeah.
and you just
Yeah.
just cut out a stay.
I still have the
Stays.
case that
I
Dad.
learned that.
Myself.
I used
PK
to cut,
prison.
the old cassette tape, plastic cassette tapes.
Yeah.
I would cut them out of
Out of the covers?
Yeah, they're plastic. I would just cut them out.
Really?
Make stays out of them.
Wow.
I was
That's next level.
Got one from the store.
Oh,
You just went to the store?
You have metal ones.
I had for the longest time those sets, the stay sets.
yeah.
That, I
And,
still have.
metal.
That's what I've been trying to say. The
They
last
would
couple-
they
ones
would
right there.
get into the dryer and then,
Ooh, that,
that was it.
Clackety
Go
clack.
find
because
them
I
in-
take 'em out
Can I
of shirt.
extend? Can I
I know,
extend
but, you
yours?
know.
Can I piggyback off of yours?
No, you have to get your
Nope,
own.
I'm piggybacking.
Okay, whatever.
Plastic stays that start curling after a certain period of time.
That's
and it's
because you dry them.
They're
in
almost completely pointless. Like you put them in, and it's just like.
They're like, meh.
So you turn around the other way, and it's like. Some
Can you do
stays
that
are
again?
good. Some stays are
the,
horrible.
how do they go?
Peter, your turn.
Energy drinks.
Good or bad?
That's a good one.
So, you wake, you have a really long week, like fireworks, stand week. It's an awesome week. But you basically live on energy drinks. But at the end of it, you're like, 3 of them don't do nothing anymore.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, anyway,
Need a detox from caffeine.
pretty
Exactly.
much.
mine's gonna be a little serious.
Oh no.
Oh, no.
Let's all
It's
prepare
good.
ourselves.
It's good and it's bad.
Okay.
It evidently that's what I was instructed today.
No,
I
the
have to
pulp
have
is-
both good and bad.
Some people think it's good. Some people, it depends on who you are.
As you know, Mrs. Reeves is taking her radiation treatments. So mine is the radiation. It's good because it gets rid of the cancer, possibility of future cancer. But it has made her very tired. And so pray for her as she finds the normal things of day-to-day living a little bit harder. Not hard to do, just she's just tired. And so my heart goes out for her because I know she's tired. So it's good. Getting it done, knocking out these treatments. She's actually doing very well. Doctor's pleased. No huge Problems just the only thing out of all the symptoms seems to be that she does lose her strength or energy quickly. So, like the time we came out to the car wash, and I think we spent 3 hours, about 3 hours out there. She was spent when we got home. She was just like, oh, I can't do that. So, anyway, so I told you it was going to be serious. Now, how do we get out of this serious moment?
During the car wash, I was yelling at the sheriff. I didn't know it was the sheriff. It was pretty embarrassing.
Really?
You're like, come on,
So
get your car wash, and he rolled his window down.
No, he brought his truck out.
How did you
and he
not
was
know?
the only
He
one
put
sitting at
his
the
sirens-
intersection.
He put his sirens on.
I
He
know.
went, whoop,
Well,
whoop, whoop,
he
whoop.
did it. He did it at the very beginning, but I was screaming. I didn't know if it was him or where it came from, and it was just real brief. So, and it has tinted windows. And he's parked there, and I mean, I'm going nuts.
I'm yelling
with these
at
kids.
you,
I've got
David,
my,
that's the
"Get a
sheriff."
car wash. We need you. Look at these poor kids. Why don't you do something for them?
And the sheriff just gave him money. He just handed him money.
Really? Yeah.
And
And I'm like, I'm really into it. And Dad yells at me, he's like, "That's the sheriff." I'm like, "Thank you for everything you do, kids. God bless you."
Oh, that's funny.
Wow.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
We got a great
funny.
sheriff.
Yes.
Yeah, we do. We got a lot of good folks here in town.
That's right.
We know
Seriously. Yeah.
a lot of good folks. And the older I get, that's one thing I notice more and more. Because walking downtown with Kaylee, looking at some of those, I just run into person after person after person. Just the people that have come to church or people that we've ministered to. And it was just like, hey, how are you? And they'd go out of their way to stop and talk to us. And it was just like, just how many people.
It's an amazing thing. I really am amazed always at what a wonderful testimony in the last maybe 2-3 years since moving to this property, changing everything. Just the testimony that our church has is just good. I mean, we've been attacked, and you got the Facebook rant pages, and people want to sell stupid kind of stuff. But man, our community backs us, loves us, and we love them. And I tip my hat to the staff, all the daycare workers, everybody that represents our church out in public, and but just good communities for us, and I'm looking forward to the next 11 years until we get our building built. Then I'm retiring.
11.
Hey,
you heard it here first. On
11
the
years.
Isn't the 10 years supposed to go down?
Yes.
Yeah, it's not up
10-year
every
plan.
year.
Should we 9-year plan
Next
now?
year it'll be 12-year plan.
The building is a 10-year plan. We've already been into it 1 year, right? So 9 years left. But I figure pastoring the church 2 more years after in the big building, just enjoy it for 2 years, and then
You heard it here first. He's retiring and going on the road as an evangelist.
I'm not. I'm going to start a church in Hawaii.
Oh, in Hawaii.
Wow.
Oh, it's humid there.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
On a cruise ship. I'm going to have an independent fundamental
They-
Baptist church running buses on a cruise
What was
ship.
with
You
that?
could probably get one of those old ones that they have in they're not using them as cruise ships anymore.
Yeah.
In the harbors. I mean, they're just sitting there
Cruise Baptist Church.
Hey, I like it.
around the world world Church, literally.
And only take people on cruises that are independent fundamental Baptist.
Well, that defeats the purpose of a church, I think.
No, get the unsaved on there, and you can't get off without a profession.
Easy baptism. We got the
Yeah.
big pools right there.
Oh, I was going to say, throw them overboard.
Good thing you're saved.
Bye.
Or
Walk
bury
the
you at
plank.
sea.
Anyway, I think.
Only Pete.
Hey, it's...
Oh, we
have
dropped
1
them
minute.
off at the other harbor. Yeah, the other port.
Thank you for joining us for this week's episode of The Brook. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we only have 2 left. Next week and the week after.
It's 6:00.
It is on the dot.
This is not like
We started a couple minutes late, so we're technically under an hour as far as the whole show goes. But that's okay. Thanks for joining us for this week's episode of The Brook. Me be back again here next week, same time, same place for another fun-filled show. David, Pastor, Peter,
Later.
JT. Thank you for another great broadcast. You'll be able to find this episode at some point in the future on iTunes, podcast places, and YouTube. We'll have it up there. Edited,
Mom!
and it'd be, really?
And our verse for today is John 3:16.
I'm trying to stall, brother. I'm stalling. Here we go. David, what's the verse of the
I
day?
just found this, Rant.
Okay.
Psalm 61:4. I will abide in thy tabernacle forever. I will trust in the covert of thy wings, Selah. Or cruise ship, whichever one.
Sounds good. With that, we're going to play the final requested song, the Epleys singing To Count for Jesus, requested by David himself. Have a good week, everybody.
The Brook, a ministry of North Platte Baptist Church.